What is the state of television programming for children today?
Well, when we talk about the state of television programming for children, it is very pathetic scenario exists today in India. 10 years ago, or as a matter of fact even 15 years ago, we had a better programs, more original programs for children than we had today. But during these 15 years, the viewership of television among children has gone up tremendously. Today, on an average in a week, urban child in India views anywhere up to 16 to 17 hours a week, and an average weekday 2.5 hours roughly he views a television. And in the total television viewers in India, 45% of them are children. So you can imagine the magnitude of viewership to television among children. 240 million children in India. So you can imagine the impact and the relevance of television to children. That being the case, if you look at it, what kind of programs are being made, it is pathetic in the sense the numbers are too few, very little time is devoted. Whatever is being devoted is mostly for cartoons, imported films not made in India, not relevant for India, not relevant for our children. They are also, most of them are violence oriented, innocuous and irrelevant to the Indian needs, nor are they supplementary to the education or the school, primary or middle school curriculum. They do not add up to anything. So, and see, in the last 5-6 years, the television has proliferated in India. Number of channels, the number of programming hours have increased so much, and yet the time devoted for children's programs have come down, because all this is because to produce children's program you require a lot of planning, a lot of money, a lot more research than other programs. That is why most channels, what they are doing is importing cartoon films is the easiest, cheapest to fill the time, and at the same time the channels are interested in these programs because through children they attract advertisers. So they also want the children's programs, but not the ones relevant to the children. They want the children to glue to the television.
Okay. So 15 years ago, 10-15 years ago, film personalities, people involved in films like Amol Palekar, Sai Paranjpe, they were making serials or sitcoms that were on Doordarshan or on channel that was there, were relevant to the children, they were good. We had more children programming. What went wrong in the last 10 years when children's programming has gone down?
I think one is the kind of children's program that were made in the previous decades, whether in the film, in the cinema circuit or even on the television, were more in-house produced, for which there was no costing, there was no competition. Today there is a costing, there is a viability factor. For every program that you produce, it has to generate money, whereas in the 10 years ago that outlook, that attitude was not there. Today there is a competition, for viewers. You want more people to watch your program, so you need to attract more, which means you need to have more violence, more vulgarity, more sex and so on and so forth. So that is why you bring a lot of tricks to produce that kind of programs, you need lot of money. So that is one reason why there is a decline. And then the other part is a lot of research. If you have to really produce locally relevant, regional language based, using the local talent, we need to spend a lot of money, and who will pay for that money? Government itself is not sure, the channels are not willing, because most of them are think of the viability factor. This is one aspect. But other interesting thing is radio in India, All India Radio has an excellent model of children's programs. Over the years, 50 years, they have been doing a lot better, a lot more relevant to children, with children's participation in the local language and related to their education, to their knowledge, information, worldly knowledge type of programs, which they could not adapt to the television. there are very few isolated programs. Quiz, for example, one useful thing that has proliferated in the last 5-6 years is the quiz based, but then this is mostly to the college and that age group, not to the children of less than 12, let us say 6 to 12 age group. If we really 6 to 12 age group, there is hardly any program specifically designed by various channels.
Okay, what are the kind of programs do you think channels should have for children?
Well, firstly, it should enhance their understanding of their neighborhood, their environment, and then able to enrich them in terms of certain values towards life. For example, if a fellow sees 2000 killings by the time he is 8-year-old, on an average in a year, 2000 killings, just stabbings or shootings in a matter of such a short period, and this happens between 6 and 8 every month or every year, you can imagine what kind of mental makeup evolves. In fact, there are a lot of judgments that have come up in various parts of the country which have attributed that this deviant behavior, this criminal behavior of adolescents, killing a classmate in the school or stabbing a girl of same age for various reasons, or raping a young kid of 12 years of another young girl of the same age, these are all borrowed, copied from one or the other TV serial of one or the other channel. So, these are some of the kind of things that need to be, in other words, what is happening really is television by and large is a double-edged weapon. It has a positive potential, it has a negative potential. What is happening today is the negative potential is driving much faster in the absence of concern among the policy people, among the parents, among the teachers, among the citizen in general. Citizens by and large are at the receiving end in a passive mode. So, that is why the Center for Media Studies has taken the initiative to come up with a guide for the teachers and the parents, because parents have to be more alert. There is no use of blaming the television people alone. Obviously, they look from their interest. Teachers and the parents have to look from their point of view. So, there are certain things they need to do. So, then only you can blame the television people. Blaming television alone is not the answer, or preventing children to view the television is not the answer. Coping up with it, preparing the children mind to interpret, to discuss what is happening on the TV with the parents, with the teacher, is the best way or the right way to derive the positive aspects of television, no matter what kind of programs they show. This is one aspect of it. So, that is why we are coming up with a charter for the country. We do not have any policy on the children. As I told you, there is 240 million children. Half of the total television viewers in India are children, and most of the advertisements are oriented children, and yet this country does not have a policy of how television should be used for the, in the interest of the children, for the development of the children, because they are the future citizens of this country. So, that is why we have come up with a policy. We thought CMS is advocating a national policy, which means the government should allocate certain money so that the quality programs are produced meant for children for their development, number one. Similarly, advertisements, there must be some moderation of a kind of advertisements aimed at the children, using children. Third is, there is some amount of research need to be done to find out what is the impact on the children. We have urban children, rural children, there are different kind of children. Children are not one homogeneous kind of mass. There are rural children going to the country schools, there are convent schools. So, the impact of the television in different parts of the country is different. So, there is a need for a concurrent evaluation or concurrent research on a time series basis to find out the impact, and then come back and tell to the television producers, television channels, and to the teachers and parents and everybody in the country. So, that is what the national policy is. The charter is to tell to the citizens that you must ask the channels demand channels that they must devote every day a certain part of the time for children, and at appropriate time, not when it conflicts with the education or with the physical exercise. There are studies which have brought out, because of the television viewing, outside games, physical exercise have come down because the time clashes, or the feature film is clashes with their physical exercise of children. So, these are some of the things that they need to be brought to the attention of the people. People need to be sensitized. So, the chart, the guideline, the guide, parents and children, parents and teachers guide which CMS is preparing is, it indicates to the teachers and the schools that they must have some curriculum appreciating television programs, how television works, or what are the good and bad of television. Both need to be told. It has both. It can serve immense, it has immense potential, television, but we must know how to derive those immense potential good uses of television. So, the school is the right forum to do that. That is why we are bringing out this guideline for the school teachers, which they can use it as a form of debate. And for example, debates is one thing which is missing in the television. Of course, the quiz programs serve a good cause, but they belong to higher and mostly to convent oriented education, not for the bulk of the 240 million children are not aimed at them. They are under time pressure. Television has another dimension. It is a time bound media, unlike the press or other media, even more so here, because by overnight you need a program. So, you can't, children's program can't be produced just overnight, because there is a lot of planning, lot of designing, lot of research, lot of involvement of children themselves is needed. So, that is why the producers, unless that kind of environment is given, that kind of support is given to the producer, he can't be expected to produce a useful or a relevant program for children.
Okay, what kind of support are you talking about? Like government should come forward?
Well, government also should come forward. In fact, in my idea, that a certain percentage of advertising revenues should be devoted for giving to the producers to generate, to come up with more beneficial programs which are more useful to the children, beneficial to children in terms of their development, child development programs.
Okay, and do you think that the time slot that the children program is usually?
No, the 4:30 to 5:30 is okay, but at the moment it is in the morning segment. Most of the programs are morning. Radio had that afternoon segment. So, that again is not uniform for the entire country. Different parts of the country has different timings. Then all through the year, you need not have, there examination season is there. When there is an examination season, you might have to think of the timing differently. It need not be just one fixed time segment for the entire year or for the entire country. It should be region specific.